What's up, RoyalSpartan Tribe? This is RoyalSpartan 125, back for yet another great reaction. Okay, this is Part 7, Greater Terran Union, Stellaris Invicta. People have been on asking for these, and I enjoy doing them, so... it's after midnight right now, which means it's not my birthday. 2nd of March. Yay, happy birthday to me. I'm having a little early drink to celebrate early, sort of. So, let's jump in.
When the first pioneers passed across the boundaries of the solar system in search of whatever lay beyond, it was impossible to not compare them to the ancient seafaring peoples of Earth. In the classrooms and culture of the era, the first landings on Acadia were viewed as the natural culmination of human exploration that began with the discovery of the Solomon Islands by the prehistoric Lapita, or the rounding of the Horn of Africa by the Somali kingdoms of antiquity. The galaxy was simply the next great ocean, perilous and sometimes deadly, but filled with wonders and treasures beyond human imagination. By the dawn of the 26th century, most within the Greater Terran Union could argue that this ocean had been tamed.
Now, I mean, that is an interesting way to look at it. On Earth, I mean, our oceans are still vastly unexplored. I mean, going out into space is exactly the same. It's like going off to sea. You know what I mean? You don't know what to find out there. You know. In fact, the early explorers didn't know what they were going to find, and it's definitely an interesting way to look at it. And yeah, but when they say it's been tamed, people always think that. They always think, oh yeah, we've finally tamed it. We've domesticated the sea. We've domesticated the air. We've domesticated everything. And then next thing you know, something else turns up to challenge you. But yeah, it'll be. I guarantee that something else is going to happen. I mean, that's pretty much the way it goes, right?
Alien nations that had for centuries boldly resisted humanity's conquests existed now only in memory. Peoples whose own history and culture might once have been the equal of any found on Earth pledged their allegiance to new banners and foreign values. The most sacred relics, crowns, monuments, constitutions, and holy objects from a dozen fallen worlds were displayed in the museums of Earth and its colonies, a testament to human greatness. Few citizens within the Union realized that this ocean they had dominated was beginning to boil. The growing arrogance of humanity was not unfounded. With the end of the final war against the Compact, the Phyraxian Confederation had been established as a Terran satellite state, while the Rixian Galactic Directorate too retained its sovereignty in name only. Both joined the Union of Nemirium as puppet governments, their economies, political systems, and militaries now wholly dependent on the GTU and completely subordinate to its interests. Technological innovation also continued at a remarkable pace. In the Bernard Star system, the wealth and labor of almost the entire Union was put towards a single unparalleled goal. Utilizing self-replicating nanotechnology reverse-engineered from discoveries in the extragalactic star cluster, the first steps were taken towards the construction of a Dyson sphere. The announcement of Project Malakbel was a shock to the greater galactic community and even the citizens of the GTU themselves. While the construction of a Dyson sphere was long theorized, it was believed by most to be an insurmountable task, centuries, perhaps even millennia, away from feasibility. When the barest of frameworks had been constructed, however, the project drew the attention of the Florian matriarchy. A highly advanced and pacifist civilization widely respected across the galaxy, the Florians were horrified by the Greater Terran Union's efforts. In a dramatic bit of irony, Bernard Star, viewed from the Florian homeworld, was located in their most revered constellation, one that depicted their society's unifying figure. The Florians did all but beg the Greater Terran Union to reconsider the placement of Project Malakbel, even offering financial compensation, but the Florian matriarchy had been one of the fiercest critics of the Sword of Terra, and their requests were denied.
See, this is how it starts, yeah? You start disrespecting other people's cultures, other people's beliefs, and next thing you know, they're turning on you. Yeah, I mean, you take it, right? They've integrated all these societies, all these species into the Greater Terran Union. Yeah, which means they've brought all their enemies together in one place, pretty much. They don't trust them. They don't listen to them. They don't. You know what I mean? So their enemies are just gonna conspire against them from within, brought them closer together, because now they have one common enemy. Yeah, I mean, you saw it coming.
As Project Malakbel progressed, the Greater Terran Union moved to solidify its outermost territories. The recent conquests had given the Union a wealth of former Algan, Rixian, and Firaxian systems, but these in turn had brought it into direct contact with new potential rivals. Along the Outer Rim, particular attention was given to the Vol Hive. Largely isolationist since their defeat by Union forces in one of the earliest wars against the Compact, the Vol's hive mind bore a disconcerting resemblance to that of the Tyrim. Clearly formidable, Union High Command nevertheless projected their defenses could be overwhelmed and their worlds occupied in under 5 years with limited casualties. Their strategy was based on utilizing the network of gateways that linked to a primary terminal egress located in the extragalactic cluster. Having activated this network, Terran fleets would be able to almost instantaneously transit to similar gateways across the galaxy, including several located in the heart of Vol space.
So, humans started off as victims of Tyrum, like many other species. And now they've become worse than the Tyrum. Yeah, Tyrum were hive mind. They were pretty much just, destroying and taking whatever they wanted. But humans have become worse. They're just conquesting everybody. Anybody has a little bit of power, a little bit of resources, anything at all. They're just trying to take it all. I mean, that's just human nature, isn't it? They've got the power. Why not? Why just stop now? Why not just conquer everybody?
While critics in a closed session of the National Assembly noted that, like ancient Rome before it, the Greater Terran Union was beginning to conquer an empire out of self-defense, the potential of the operation itself was universally lauded. In 2517, the Greater Terran Union declared war on the Vol Hive. The planned preemptive strike exceeded expectations. By utilizing the gateways, Terran fleets quickly managed to destroy the main strength of the Vol, and afterwards advanced almost unopposed. For the first time, the warships of Fleet Command fought alongside the armadas of its puppet states, and racial divisions that had existed for centuries slowly gave way to mutual respect. In 2520, the homeworld of the Vol Hive was occupied, and the war was all but over. All that was left was for Terran armies to seize the remaining Vol colonies, none of which presented any significant resistance. With the Greater Terran Union seemingly at the height of its power, the declaration of war sent by the Florian Matriarchy was all but dismissed. The action was believed by Terran intelligence services as a purely symbolic display of solidarity with the Vol, one that could be resolved once the Vol had been completely occupied.
See, someone declares war on you, and then you ignore it. Whatever happens next is on you, yeah? That's what happens with all empires. It eats itself from the inside.
The Florians were seen as far too distant to be of any real concern. The nearest outposts were put on alert, but no major attack was expected. These assumptions cost hundreds of thousands of lives. Unbeknownst to the Greater Terran Union, the Florians too had activated a secret gateway within their space. Their fleets arrived in the extragalactic cluster at the perfect moment. With the war against the Vol all but over, Terran fleets were in the middle of a great resupply and redeployment, completely unprepared to meet this surprise attack. In the Styx system, center of Terran power in the cluster, a Union battle group was completely destroyed, the single largest defeat in centuries.
Yikes.
With the terminal egress now in the hands of the Florians, the situation became catastrophic. The Union's own strategy was turned against them. Florian warships appeared in remote, undefended corners of the GTU.
And there you have it. Yeah. In other words, they showed them how to do it. Like, hey, this is how you you surprise your enemy by using these gates at the most opportune times for you, and you just destroy them. And that's exactly what their enemies are now doing. They're using their own tactic against them. That's crazy. That's what you get for ignoring people when they declare war on you.
Enormous battle stations that had once guarded against whatever lay in the extragalactic cluster had been converted to nearly defenseless anchorages or decommissioned entirely. System after system was lost almost without a fight, while the main strength of Union forces, engaged along the border with the Vol, were now completely cut off and out of position.
Oof.
Almost overnight, the economy of the GTU was in ruins, as trade between the Outer Rim territories and the core commissariats was severed. The National Strategic Reserves were activated, and stores of resources and materials whose use had been prohibited in all but the most dire circumstances were slowly drained. Not since the earliest wars against the Compact had the core territories of the Greater Terran Union been threatened. An armistice was quickly agreed to with the Vol, and the conquest of the Hive left unfinished. With Earth itself potentially in danger, the Terran Home Fleet was deployed. Together with several other battle groups, it mobilized its strength in the Gadaxis system, directly in the path of the Florians' most formidable armada. Stopping the advance of the Florians would be the largest battle in the history of the Greater Terran Union, and one that would determine if the war against them could be won.
So, it's getting exciting now. I mean, seeing the size of the Earth fleet, yeah. So, I don't know who's gonna win this one. I mean, I like to think the Terrans will win it because, home team and all that. But they are in the wrong as well. I know that. But at the same time, you don't want to see the humans getting conquered. It's just, personal bias.
When the Florians arrived in Gadaxis, they faced the full might of humanity.
Yes!
For weeks, the battle was fought across the entire system. Warships and weapon systems that had never met their equal in combat were now put to the ultimate test.
That's
Hundreds of ships
crazy.
were lost, and even Union-class dreadnoughts, pride of Fleet Command, were destroyed by fanatic Florian attacks. In a battle of such scale, it was impossible to determine when the tide began to turn. But after over a month of fighting, the Florians had been annihilated, almost down to the last ship. While they suffered horrific losses, the battle groups of Fleet Command had seized the initiative and began a campaign of liberation. It took a further 3 years before the last occupied territory of the GTU was retaken, and when Terran forces arrived in the Styx system for the first time in half a decade, they found it abandoned. With the gateway network seized once more, the first tentative offensives were made into the center of Florian territory.
Yep, they're gonna wipe them out.
While not yet fully recovered enough to commit to any lengthy campaign over such a great distance, by seizing a collection of Florian colonies and star systems, the will of the Florians was broken, and the war came to an end.
So, there you go. The humans did beat them in the end. I mean, I thought they would. They had the bigger force and all that. But it just shows you, no matter how big you are, no matter how powerful you become, you push people far enough, and they will. They will come for you. When you make them so desperate. Well, we won this one. Yay!
The victorious GTU established a buffer state, the Commonwealth of Caprici, in the conquered Florian systems. But the price that had been paid was insurmountable. The myth of Terran invincibility was shattered, and the Greater Terran Union was forced to accept that its position of superiority was far less stable than had been previously accepted.
Yep.
Above all, however, the war against the Florians proved decisively that the other great powers of the galaxy, long dismissed as weak-willed, could no longer be underestimated.
Yeah.
The activation of the gateways has brought even the most distant nations within reach, and should they follow the example of the Florians and commit themselves to standing against the plans of humanity, the Greater Terran Union might drown in the ocean they sought to conquer.
Yep. So, there you go. Like I said, no matter how big you are, no matter how strong you are, don't get so arrogant that you think people beneath you can't actually hurt you. They can't. As long as they have a good enough plan. Yeah, you showed them how to do it, so, yeah. I enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun, as always. And I don't know if I should do another one. I know it was like a Mistman one or something somebody was talking about. Maybe I should do it. I don't know. Okay. Well, hope you enjoyed the reaction. And it's my birthday right now, so I'm feeling kind of good, You always feel good on your birthday for some reason. And yeah, until next time, I am out of here.